Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And Moadim L'Simcha. Our Torah tells us that there are 3 times a year that we are supposed to celebrate together. Chag HaPesach, Chag HaShavuot, and Chag HaSukkot, the holiday of Passover, the holiday of Shavuot, and the holiday of Sukkot. And as I was thinking about these 3 holidays this week, it took me back to my childhood with Sesame Street. Why? Because one of these things is not like the other. So, my question is, why is Sukkot different from Passover and Shavuot? I'm going to argue that Sukkot, while it is still one of the pilgrimage festivals, Sukkot is different. It feels different. We think about different things than we do on the other 2 holidays. So that's my challenge for you this morning, is let's figure this out. Why is Sukkot different than these other holidays? Who wants to give it a shot? Why is Sukkot different? Okay, so hang on one second, because I want to break it down. So what Diana said, I think, is correct, but then I'm going to change it, which is, it's obvious in that Sukkot we have the mitzvah of sukkah and lulav and etrog. However, I would argue that the other holidays have their own particular mitzvot associated with them as well. Passover, we don't eat matzah. We don't eat chametz. We tell the story. I wish we don't eat matzah. That's very Freudian. That's very, for all the therapists here. Thank you. But every holiday has its own particular mitzvah. So yes, that does change Sukkot a little bit, but fundamentally it's not different.
I was going to say it had to do also with the agriculture, and that it's also Chag HaAsif.
Okay.
And it's a gathering, and that was really the practical value, and it has to be, y'all notice the beautiful moon that started? Beautiful moon, it's all
right, so I'm going to say yes and no again for that, which is, what Diana said is, well, it's an agricultural piece, right? This is the harvest holiday. We've got the new moon the full moon that's out there. However, I would argue that every one of the pilgrimage festivals has an agricultural connection. And with the exception of Shavuot, which is timed differently, both Passover and Sukkot start with the full moon, right? Yeah, let's keep trying. We are commanded to be joyful. All right, we're going to come back to that, right? We're commanded to be joyful, and why is that different? Because we're commanded other things on the other holidays. Why is commanded to be joyful different? We are, but I like where you're going with this, Ingram, and I'm going to say that being commanded to be joyful is different than being commanded to eat matzah or being commanded to do something else. Well, certainly it's different, right? It's hard to be joyful eating matzah, but some people are, by the way. Some people are. Yes? Yeah, so you said 2 things, Hillary, that I think are really important. You said that it's connected to the days of awe, and I'm going to divide that into 2 things. One, those days are more solemn, right? Are more solemn, and this joyfulness that's there sort of takes us out of that and lets us get back into the rest of the year. But I'm also going to say that the other 2 holidays are really separated from anything else. They're on their own. And for this, and we were just discussing this earlier on, that, the timing of Sukkot is tough, right? We just had Rosh Hashanah, we just had Yom Kippur, we've got Sukkot. I would very much like to take it up with the management who handled scheduling of this, right? This is tough, but at the same time, they're all connected together in a way that's different than the other holidays. Passover and Shavuot are sort of outliers a little bit on that. Yes?
There's no historical Jewish event that happened.
Nice. I love it. What's your name? Myron. Byron or Myron? Byron. There's no historical event that is associated with Sukkot, right? So let's do the other ones first, and then we'll come back, because people will push back on it a little bit, but I agree with you, right? Passover, Exodus from Egypt, right? Shavuot, giving of the Torah, standing at Mount Sinai. Now, some people will say, well, Sukkot was there to remind us of when we were wandering in the desert and we were living in Sukkot. Maybe, but Rabbi Ern was discussing the other day that it actually didn't talk about Sukkot in the desert. It was Matovu Ohalecha. They were tents, right? Not Sukkot. So there's no specific historical event that connects Sukkot to anything. I like that. Good. Yes?
I wanted to go back to what you said about high holidays and supposed to be connected. Passover and Shavuot are connected.
They are connected, but it's a much longer period of time, right? It's a week of weeks. So we have that time, and I would take a week of weeks in between high holidays and Sukkot, right? It would be nice. But it's really, we have Yom Kippur, and 5 days later, we're here at the beginning of Sukkot. Anybody else? What's the difference, Diana?
Well, I was gonna push back a little bit on the commandment to rejoice, because it says v'samachta b'chagecha, plural. So we're commanded to rejoice on the other holidays as well. I think specifically though, it's Zaman Simchatin.
Right.
And it's a time of happiness, but that other mitzvah is, v'samachta b'chagecha applies to the others. And then I think
Probably, yes.
I think there's also something, like, I was thinking about, like, mi yachyev and mi yamut, like, we just went through this whole thing, and I'm like, who's gonna live, who's gonna die? It's like, hey, we're still here.
We're still here. There is definitely, one of the best ways to describe Sukkot is, for those of us who've, been in serious exam periods, whether it was high school or college or professional schools, right? Like, as soon as you're done with exams, you need that, week to just blow off steam. That's what Sukkot is, right? We've been through this really intense period of examination on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and now it's time to blow off some steam, right? Zman Simchatenu. But that's what I want to get back to, right? When we talk about the different holidays in our liturgy, they each have a tagline that is associated with them. So, Passover is Zman Cherutenu, the time of our freedom. Okay? Shavuot is Zman Matan Toratenu, the time of the giving of the Torah. Again, going back to what Byron was saying, both of those are historical events. Historical events. But Sukkot, that we just read in Shacharit, is Zman Simchatenu, the time of our rejoicing. And this idea of simcha, first of all, being commanded to be happy, right? It's not even don't worry, be happy. It's you have to be happy. We're commanded to be happy. So what does that do for us? Why does that make Sukkot different? What is challenging for us as human beings about being commanded to be happy? Yes? I like that. I like that. In other holidays, we are commanded to be happy, and we're happy because about particular historical events, right? We're happy because we were released from slavery. That's Passover. We're happy because we received Torah. That's Shavuot. But since there's no event, the happiness, as you said, is a little bit more forward-looking. It's about we create this sense of happiness for ourselves irrespective of what else is going on. The happiness is more endemic to what it is that we're doing as opposed to because of a particular event or because of a particular situation. Everybody's got their hands up now. Michal. Yeah. Yeah, despite what challenging things, what bad things are happening, we need to struggle to be happy. And we've heard from Viktor Frankl and from other people who come out of the Holocaust that even in those most difficult and horrific moments, right, that there were moments of joy that people created for themselves. Not from the outside. The Nazis had no interest in creating joy for our people. But people found those moments. We hear stories of people meeting, getting married, all those sorts of things. They created that happiness even in the most challenging moments. Alachat kama v'kama, all the more so when we're not living in those moments, although you could argue that we are. All the way in the back, yes, speak loud.
This is not really a historical example, but I think we celebrate joy for Sukkot because we get so stuck with all the negatives today and all around the world, like people are anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
So we just need to celebrate joy for a holiday.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think there is value in celebrating joy for joy's sake because it's so easy in today's day and age and in today's world to get so caught up in all the things that are not joyful, right? That we forget sometimes to be able to celebrate those moments of joy. Deb.
So, in thinking about the three holidays, Passover, we're commanded almost to feel like as if we were slaves in Egypt. And with Shavuot, it's this feeling of we're supposed to feel what it was like to be at Mount Sinai with Revelation. And with Sukkot, we're to feel to be in the moment.
Yep.
And it's the present, similar to the nice gentleman in the back.
Yes. Yeah, it's about being in the moment. And by the way, just for the record for all of our regulars here, my wife says I never agree with her when we talk. I'm agreeing with you. Marge.
But it's interesting too, you're committed to be joyful, but you're celebrating something that's fragile.
Yes. Joy in fragility. We're going to get back to that. That's super, super important, right? Joy in fragility is a part of all of this. How do we do that? How do we do that? It's not joy, right? Let's get into it now. There's a difference between what we're commanded to do on Purim and what we're commanded to do on Sukkot. What's the difference? Purim, we ignore the world, right? We ignore the world and we just say, it doesn't matter, I'm going to be happy, right? I'm going to be crazy, I'm going to be silly, I'm going to disconnect from everything else for that period of time. And for those of us who are over 21, on Purim, that disconnection is really physical, right? We drink, we disconnect. It's not about living in the world. And yet, Sukkot is the opposite. It's about going out into the sukkah and being part of that world. Don't hide in your homes and in your things. Go out. Be part of it. Allow yourself to be vulnerable and find the joy in that. The joy in the fragility. Super important, Marge. Super, super important. Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah, I like that. You know, there's with so much going on in the world, sometimes it's hard to give ourselves permission to be happy. And I would argue on this holiday, we not only have permission, we're commanded, right? It's not just, it's okay to be happy. It's you must be happy. So we did good work, folks. Yasher koach. We did good work on the things that that I wanted to get out of this. Let me sort of summarize the things that I had written down here. Number one, Zman simchatenu, joy as a commandment and not a mood. Hey guys, have a seat. Thanks. Gentlemen. Thank you. Joy is a commandment and not a mood. It's not based on, what do I feel like right now? I have to change myself into that mindset. Number two, joy in the fragile, right? We live in these Sukkot with permeable walls and an open roof, and yet at the same time, we spend a lot of time decorating it and making it joyful, right? We could easily just say, okay, we got the schach up, we got the walls up, that's it. But no, we decorate it. We bring the joy into the fragility. That's part of the act of preparing for Sukkot. And finally, this goes back to some degree to what Byron was saying, which is, it is joy without a story, right? It's joy without a context in history. It's just joy for joy's sake. And it's a very different thing, because everything else that we have as a Jewish people is connected, the joy is connected to those historical things. And so what I would argue is, Pesach, right, teaches us how to leave. Shavuot teaches us how to learn. And Sukkot teaches us how to live gratefully, vulnerably, joyfully in the open air, in the real world. Not in the little boxes that we create for ourselves, the little places away, but we put ourselves out there and we say, yes, it may rain tonight, and yet still we're going to figure out how to have dinner in the sukkah, right? And we're going to enjoy it, by the way. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to giggle about it. We're going to laugh about it as we get wet and as we try to do that, because that's what Sukkot is. That's what Sukkot brings to us. And so Sukkot becomes a holiday for us that is almost a protest against despair, against those things of that we start to hear in the beginning of Kohelet, right? Life is utter futility. Life is nothing. Actually, that's where Kohelet starts. But then it ends, or doesn't end, it was in the middle. The chapter we read today is, there's actually a time for everything. Yes, there is a time to be sad, and there's a time to fight, and there's a time to worry, and a time to do all of those things that we tend to spend so much of our time doing, but there's also a need to create a time to rejoice, and a time to connect, and a time to be with each other. And if we don't do it, nobody's going to do it for us. And Sukkot puts that in the form of a command to say, you need to do it. God isn't going to do it. God, it is not God's job to make you happy, is what this holiday is saying. It is your job to make you happy. We need to find that joy in our life. And God can help, God can be there to support and to guide and to lift and to do all those things, but ultimately, the mitzvah is on us, the commandment is on us. So, as we are in this intermediate period in Sukkot, Hol Hamoed Sukkot, we're about to get to Simchat Torah, to all of those moments of happiness. I encourage you to spend a little time today, tomorrow, these next few days, making each other happy, making yourselves happy, making each other happy, because that's our job. That's what we're supposed to do during this period of time. Shabbat Shalom.